Well, hello. Today I'm going to be talking about a water pump because I live on my boat and the water pump is the thing that fails, and when it fails it's a real pain. Now this is a Jabsco PAR-MAX water pump, and the reason these fail is almost always the pressure switch. Yeah, great. And very rarely is it the motor itself, it's the pressure switch that fails. Jabsco will sell you an entire replacement pressure switch housing, the whole thing, which you then splice in. But it's about, it's $100 or something like that. And the reason that annoys me is that the actual part that fails is the microswitch, which is $1 or $2. So I thought I would have a go at replacing the microswitch. Now they don't make it easy, but it can be done. Now the most important thing I can tell you is not to buy any cheap knockoff microswitches because they will simply fail. You want the same spec as the OEM, which is made by Omron, and the actual part you want is a V-15-2C26-K. It's basically a 2-pole microswitch with the right amount of sensitivity on the switch itself. Once you got one of those, you'll be laughing. Now, to take this apart, it's pretty straightforward. You just spin out the 4 screws.
Hello again.
Hello again. How do I get anything done? We spin out the 4 screws. Let's check that we are in focus. There is a rubber diaphragm here which you don't want to lose. Lose the screws. And then this is the pressure switch itself. You see it? Yes, we can. So take out the 2 screws. And then you can lift that out. If you catch the edge of it here, it makes it easy to lift off. There's the assembly. Don't lose the gasket. And then we have the plate and the spring which sits on the plunger. And there's also, if you can see that, inside is a little plastic guide which you don't want to lose because it stops the spring from going misshapen. And here is the culprit here. Now, as you can see, it's very difficult to get out. It's a push fit. These wires do not move. But with a bit of perseverance, you can get it out. Like that. And then you just pull it off the spade like that. And there we have the microswitch. Here's the new one. Now, this is the tricky part. I don't know if you can see it on there, but let's zoom in. Now I've touched the camera, it's going to bounce for ages. At the bottom is the spade, and at the top is the spade. The top one is no problem to get it to go into here, but the bottom one goes in blind, so it's a bit tricky. So the trick is using a pair of tweezers or something like that, is just to get the bottom spade and line it up as best you can. So try to get it straight and just sitting off the bottom. Now, what you need to do is when you're putting in the microswitch, you can push the top spade in, but the bottom one you have to judge by eye. You can't see it as it goes in. However, it's such a tight fit that basically, as long as it's more or less in the right place, it should line up. Now, as I push the top one in, I can drop it down and look down the hole, and using my torch, I look down into the side and I see if I can just judge whether that's going to line up with the bottom spade. That does not look great. Give that a tweak. It's not straight. Try again.
Hi again.
Here he is, my little helper. Now that looks pretty good. So now it's lined up. I'm simply going to push it in like that. And there it is. Now, obviously, I'm not going to reassemble this without checking it. So here we go with the trusty multimeter. I'll put it onto checking for continuity. Now, this wire, the main feed wire, goes to the bottom pin. So if I put my contact on here, and if I touch the top pin, because the switch is normally normally closed, I'm getting good continuity, and I can test it now by pressing the switch, and off it goes. So that tells me that this microswitch has seated in properly, and that the bottom spade has in fact gone into the spade properly below. So now it's simply just a matter of reassembling. So don't forget not to lose the little piece in the middle. Drop that in. Put the gasket in the right place. With the pressure sensor. Make sure that's lined up properly over the button as best you can. And then that should just all press down tightly. If it doesn't go down, something's lined up incorrectly. In which case we'll try again. Looks not quite right. Better. In with the screws. If you press it down, you should hear a nice click if it's working properly. Looks like this is starting to fail on the wiring. That needs a bit of tape. Right. And then remembering the orientation, which on this one is like this, and making sure that the diaphragm is still in the correct place. We simply reassemble it. That's right. So the narrow bit sits at the top of the pump. Don't go crazy when you're putting this in. The first one in, just nip it up and then put the opposite one in so that we pull it down evenly, and don't go all the way in with the screw either. Just get it nice and tight just as it begins to nip up. Like that. Alright, and now it's all in. We can give it a final tweak, nice and tight. We don't want any leaks. And there you go. One new microswitch in your Jabsco pump.